downhill from there, subject for another speech perhaps, republicanism. You govern yourself. You tell them what you want them to do, and then they do it. And that's the end of it. Then they go home. They go home. They don't do anything else. What has happened, or as my daughter likes to say, what had happened was, we got a lot of chicken gizzard stealers. There's a lot of chicken gizzard thieves out there. And they thought of all sorts of things to do with chicken gizzards. Then it went on to lambs, and then pigs, and then cows. And then they started taking things from people's houses. And all the while, every time they do it, people went, man, somebody ought to do something about that. Yeah, somebody ought to do something about that. Who said somebody? Well, that'd be you. That'd be you. So understanding the concept of what a person is, what a state is, and how you become sovereign, meaning you are, and how you assign powers as a sovereign entity, should put all of this in perspective. Meaning, there is nothing that has already been done by any legislature in the continental United States that cannot be undone, if you only have the political will to do it. I cannot make you have the political will to do it. Only you can do that. But it's not illegal. It's certainly not immoral. You know, it's immoral is not doing it is immoral, especially with what is going on around us today. And I would say it's advisable. Smaller political bodies, smaller political entities, much more limited spheres are easier to keep an eye on. They are less likely to fall into corruption, and when they do, they can be altered more easily. The larger that body gets, the more difficult it becomes to alter it. See Article 5. This is as simple a concept that I've been trying to make this, and I've wrestled with this myself for years and years and years, how to explain this to people. And this is the farmers with the chickens and the appointments is the easiest thing that I can come up with. And I've thought about this a long time, because once people understand that, all things are possible now. Maybe there's a county that you come from you don't like. There's no one saying that you have to be in that particular county. It has to be shaped like that. Maybe it has a charter. Maybe most of you don't like the charter. Possibilities are endless. But once you understand that government works for us, it's our agent. It does things that we don't think we can do by ourselves. And there are very, very few. I mean, an infinitesimal amount of tasks that we should want that government to do. Small, very small thing. Like maybe even building roads. I don't know. So much crime and corruption that goes on a road building. I'm not even sure that one's on the table. But my point is, that's for you to decide. I'm not here to tell you how to run your government. What I am here to hopefully instruct you in is that you are the power. You owe no allegiance to no political entity unless you choose to. It is your right to change it, or as Mason said, reform, alter, or abolish it. That is your right. I would say that is your duty. Now, let's get to our cards. Who do I give a card to? See, I already forgot. All right, what's that card say? Read me that card, please.
I support gay marriage.
Oh, that was so good! He said, I support gay marriage. Many of you probably support gay marriage. As a matter of fact, most of you probably support gay marriage. You don't know it, but you do. I got to find the note here. Let me explain. How many of you know who Samuel Johnson is? Other than Donald Livingston, who knows who Samuel Johnson was? Samuel Johnson wrote the first dictionary before Mr. Webster ever came up with the idea. What is contained in your card? The word gay, right? You support gay marriage. Not only has the left and the libs, not only have they corrupted our political institution, and believe me, Republicans have gone along with it too, and that's why the term conservative doesn't mean what it should mean. We'll get into that in a minute. Just look at the corruption of our language. An innocent three-letter word, gay. I support gay marriage. I don't know, maybe you do. I bet all of you actually do. And here's why. The term gay marriage, according to Samuel Johnson, on our 3x5 index card, actually means, and I quote, airy, cheerful, and merry. If you are gay, you are enjoying times of fun and frolic. Who doesn't want their marriage to be airy, or everyone else's marriage to be airy, cheerful, and merry, and for your husband and wife to be cavorting about the Georgia countryside, having fun and frolicking? Sounds like a great deal to me. I support gay marriage. Now, I just proved to you that that word has been corrupted. It's been co-opted and corrupted. I got that from Samuel Johnson's dictionary, published in 1755. That's what that word meant. Here, if you like that, you're going to love this. Reading the next definition of the word gay from Johnson's dictionary, we find the most hysterical use of the word you will ever hear. Are you ready? Under adjective, gay. Number 3, quote, a virgin that loves to go gay, end quote. A virgin that loves to go gay. So this is the word that has been co-opted now to represent homosexuality. Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, there's actually songs that I still know the words to them. Gilbert O'Sullivan, an Irishman, has one about being cheerful, bright, and gay. I don't think he was talking about when he was going to go get married that day. I think he was using Johnson's definition. Question. Where are the conservatives to storm the ramparts and to defend a simple use of the word? And to say, you can call yourself anything you want, you may be happy, but we all have gay marriages, or we support all of them, but we don't support homosexual marriages. Thank you very much. Now, in your little Republican experiment, if you want to, you go ahead and do that. You're free to do that. Just don't ask some of us to do it. We don't want to go along with it. If you choose to, fine. Next card. Bill.
Article 5. Article 5 convention is too dangerous.
Well, we already covered that one, and we know if we don't do an Article 5, we know the danger that we already have. Ken, what's your card say?
Lincoln made secession illegal.
He said Lincoln made secession illegal. This is my favorite one of all time. Did Lincoln make secession illegal? No. Somebody should have told the 13 Baltic republics in July of 1991 when they seceded from the Soviet Union, maybe. Maybe the Sudan might want to know that. I don't know. Maybe North Dakota, there, may want to know that they're not supposed to have separated there from South Dakota. Right there? You meant, really? Secession's illegal? Bring that up on MSNBC one day and see what happens. People turn red, their face, spit comes flying out of their mouths. You're crazy. So we had a war, basically, and you had a military victory. The term secession comes from the Latin, thanks to Don, secidere, which means to withdraw. I secede from the podium. Is that illegal? It is not. Not only is secession not illegal, it is probably one of the best political maneuvers if you are under threat of oppression. Because if they are collecting revenue from you, and you decide that you don't want them collecting revenue from you any longer for something that they're doing, and you decide to secede, what are you doing? You're saying, same thing you would do to kick the robber out of your house. I'm not playing that game anymore, sir or sirs. I therefore withdraw. But we're not talking, we're talking 21st century terms. Again, see the word gay, secession is horrible. I bet you would not tell that, though, to the people in the Sudan, the Christian part that broke away from the Muslim part to try and save their lives, which, thankfully, maybe they have actually achieved that at some level, but they certainly wouldn't have done it if they had seceded. In the United States, our government actually backed the secession of the southern part of Sudan. So the answer to the reason for bringing the card up is just to make a point. And no, you don't have to secede. As I said, there were 3 avenues: Article 5 nullification and interposition and secession. It's one of your options. I want to go back, though, to the term conservative, another word that has been perverted, I think. Conservatism as a brand of politics is now affiliated with a political party. Now, if I describe to you a system of beliefs to live by, whose principal accomplishment over the last 50 years was the sale of best-selling books, the launch of successful TV and radio shows, and let's throw in the governorship of Alaska for 2 years, you would say that sounds like a great business resume. Where can I hire this fella? Therein lies the chief problem of our era. We're wrapped up in the commercial success of our conservative politics and not the success of our lives. See, analogy for people. The best example I can give you of this modern conservative neurotic obsession, what I like to call, is everyone in this room's obsession with this monstrosity they call the mainstream media. You hate it, don't you? Come on! You guys hate the MSM. I've seen your bumper stickers. Impeach the liberal media. Why? What power do they have? What power does media have? Well, why did you say it? So can you ignore them? I was talking to Michael Harry earlier. A legislator called him and said, Mike. Good time for a Campbell joke, by the way. Mike. I called Michael Harry up and said, Mike, I got an email from a constituent. They're saying, you're going to go to the press. What should I do? And Mike goes, ignore them. Yeah. What do you mean, what should you do? You're not doing anything illegal. Ignore them. Mainstream media. Why? If we could only get them to accurately report on our side. Why? You would gain what? The adulation of Rachel Maddow? Ooh. And you would do what with that? Might help you get into the mommy and daughters who look like sons dance, but it's not going to stop the next life from being snubbed out of an abortion clinic, is it? To be fair, the press has always played a role in our political affairs, but our view is that the deceit of the press began when the libs invaded in the 1960s. Most people probably believe that. I know a lot of people that believe that. It's a matter of faith with them. And it should be great, but it's not true. Again, corruptive process. The government corrupts everything. Everything beneath it is corrupt. Our language, gay, is corrupt. Our politics are corrupt. Our sense of politics in political terms, see secession, is corrupt. And now, the press is corrupt. Our view of the press, well, that started in the 60s. Really? Let's go back to the year 1873. Take a ride with me. Samuel Langhorne Clemens. Know who he is? Exactly. Gave a speech at the Hartford, Connecticut Monday Evening Club. By the way, Rudyard Kipling was so enamored with this speech when he received it in the London Daily Mail, he got on a boat. He had a man crush on Twain. Came to the United States to hang out with his hero, Mark Twain. True story. In Mark Twain's remarks, we find the most violent criticism of the press, or as we would call it, the liberal media. Twain begins with the now famous joke. The press has scoffed at religion till it has made scoffing popular. His withering criticism of the newspaper business, and he goes out of his way to point out that it was fast becoming a business and no longer an occupation. Sounds like what you might read from one of those outfits that monitors the liberal media these days, or I should say the liberal media. Twain wondered why the press could ruin a man, but a man could never ruin the press. Why is that? Here's what he said, quote, there are laws to protect the freedom of the press's speech, but none that are worth anything to protect the people from the press. Quote. Was Twain right? I think he was. He went on to accurately predict the effect most of you fear the press or the mainstream media has had on the country. Now listen to this. 1873 now. Quote, I have a sort of vague general idea that there is too much liberty of the press in this country, and that through the absence of all wholesome restraint, the newspaper has become, in a large degree, a national curse, and will probably damn the republic. Again, was Twain right? I'd say he was. This should settle the dispute over whether the corruption of our society began, or when it began, and as much as I would love you in joining pinning the ignominious blame on Dan Rather or Chris Matthews, our villains go by the name of Webster, Story, and Lincoln. Now, back to our theme of the day, conservatism outside the box, and that word conservative. Might do us some good, do a better job at defining what conservatism is. And more specifically, what makes a good conservative. Now, Russell Kirk, everybody know who Russell Kirk is? Was a great author, father of modern conservatism, he was called. Russell Kirk, in his 10 Conservative Principles essay, said, this is what conservatism is, quote, in essence, the conservative person is simply one who finds the permanent things more pleasing than chaos and old night. Now it is said, Kurt rather, conservatism is a state of mind, a type of character, a way of looking at the civil social order, if you will. Now I don't think Kurt's definition is very exciting to most aspiring conservatives. This helps explain the popularity of the aforementioned Alaska governor and the obscurity of Russell Kirk. In other words, being a conservative requires, in Jefferson's words, eternal vigilance. And there's a small problem with this quote. And in the problem we see another decay, another corruption. Jefferson never said it, never uttered it, never wrote it, never said it. The phrase belongs to an 18th century statesman named John Philpott Curran, who wrote, quote, "The condition upon which God had given liberty to man is eternal vigilance, which condition if he break, servitude is at once the consequence of his crime and the punishment of his guilt." End quote. Now, you might say, why do you need to know this? Why would you want to know this? The only reason I know it is because my forced discipline in applying what I call due diligence to all matters in history. And what that means, very simply, is if I cannot source something in its original form, I won't use it. How many times have you had somebody hurl something at you on Facebook or via email or Twitter or Google Plus or whatever? Well, such and such said this. Oh, well, God, he wrote a letter through. I lose. I wrote a letter. Does anyone ever bother to check and see if the guy actually wrote the letter? Does anyone ever actually bother to see if any of the quotes that you see that allegedly come from our historical record are actually accurate? I do. I find inaccuracies all the time. Now you might say, well, Mike, what does it matter? It's the point. It's the same point. It matters because you're using a corruptive process to arrive at an end. What kind of conservatism is that? What kind of Christian behavior is that? In other words, you are willing to lie if it serves your purpose. I would think that a person that calls themselves conservative would never do such a thing. It would certainly not live their life like that. Is there one more card out there? I think there is.
The state bows to the feds because they are supreme.
What's that?
The states bow to the feds because they are supreme.
Oh, he said the states bow to the Fed because it's supreme, right? Oh, I love this. This is the best one of all time. Is the federal government supreme? No. Why not? Wait a minute now. It has a supremacy clause in the Constitution. Have you ever heard Chris Matthews or Bill O'Reilly or Megyn Kelly? Well, feds have control over it. They're supreme. No, they run this. Why? Well, there's a supremacy clause. What does the supremacy clause mean? This is a really good one. Supremacy clause means in pursuance thereof. So, the federal government is only, see our episode again with the farmers and the chickens and the chicken gizzard, the only instance in which the guys that put the government together to order the chicken farmer to have the guy protect against the thieves, you remember he can shoot them, but not to eat the chicken, that's the only power that entity is supreme in. In other words, the guy that got the chicken, as long as he's not on their property, they have the supreme power over him to do anything else. They give him one power. So the federal government is only superior or supreme in any power that is enumerated to it. And there aren't very many. There are a lot of them invented. See the 14th Amendment. All right, let me wrap this up. A lot of people think that we've gone so far off the cliff that there's no retrieval. There's no way back. There's no way out. And as I demonstrated to you, hopefully in the past 55 minutes, there is most certainly a way out. And you are most certainly in control of it. As I said, you have to have the political will to exercise it. Some people think that doing these sorts of events like this, well, you know, I've been going to these events since I was 18. I'm 75 now. Now, but it just keeps getting worse. Why should I keep doing it? You should keep doing it because there always exists in all societies what's called a remnant. Many of you are probably remnants and don't even know it. You're a remnant? J. Albert Nock Great, great